Good afternoon. Thanks, Brita. Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. Um, as part of the Responsible AI for the Future of Teaching and Learning, I was asked to do something to revive energy in the room. And so I thought if someone could break into song, then John and Jim and others could lead a dance. Manish is standing, so we're good to go. No. Thank you so much for staying with us this afternoon so that we can talk about something that most of us in the room have some commonality around, and that is looking at issues around the future of responsible AI and the future of teaching and learning in higher ed. You don't have to go very far to like even the morning news to see how AI or questions about how AI is impacting higher education is informing conversations. We were charged with looking at what types of research would be appropriate with regard to the future of higher education and future of teaching and learning, specifically using and with AI. What you see up here are the dedicated committee members that we had who worked with us last spring. All of our work occurred last spring. And I know many of folks are here in the room now. I've seen Rob and of course Rohit. Good to see you, Mike, John. I believe Jim is here as well. Leslie was here earlier. I don't know if she's still in the room, but want to thank first the dedication of Mike and Kathy, who served, I see Kathy there, hi, who served as liaisons to the executive committee for the RAI initiative, who brought back information and helped ensure that we were coordinated and going in the right direction for our group. And then for our committee members who brought a very diverse set of experiences and expertise to our conversation, including their own use of AI or leadership in AI. And we'll have an opportunity this afternoon to hear from two of those with Rohit and Ann, who talk about their experiences and give us some information that we can think about and take back and apply immediately in teaching and learning here at the U. So our strategy, as you can see, was a fairly lengthy process. And one of the things that we did in the beginning was to do weekly meetings that were informed by an agenda. And we'll talk about working agreements and values that we had in a moment, but also kept us, as I mentioned, aligned with the executive committee and where we were going. But importantly, focused on sharing information, including developing a small repository of information around teaching and learning with AI. It's use as a tool, but it's also use in research around teaching and learning. We had facilitated group conversations and small group committee work or subcommittee work that allowed us to synthesize information not only from our meetings, but also from the readings and things that we were doing. And all of this informed the kinds of report that we put together. Here we'll provide again the working agreements and what we landed on as our values, which we think would be beneficial for colleges, departments, programs that are also investigating and exploring how they can integrate AI, not only in research agendas around teaching and learning, but perhaps as, and we'll talk about resources from the Center for Teaching Excellence, how it can actually impact the work we do in teaching and learning. We did, again, seek to understand different perspectives, and though we were all interested in AI and the integration of AI for teaching and learning, we did come with different experiences and expectations about what that would look like and what should govern our use. Creating space and time for our work and input beyond our committee, so opportunities for our folks to talk to people back in their colleges and programs, colleagues across the country, or others that they were engaging with who could inform our conversations. Importantly, because of these different perspectives, we really were intentional about cultivating both listening and engaging with the ideas, utilizing a yes and approach rather than a yes but, particularly when it comes to AI and conversations around AI. In the future of teaching and learning, we can very quickly get to that place where we say, but that's not going to work, or I've tried that, or I'm concerned about, and not be able to move forward. And then encouraging idea generation. So what could we put on the table and wrangle with instead of dismissing? And then finally clarifying through communication, information sharing, and transparency. Again, similar to our working agreements, these may be helpful for your colleges, departments, programs, interactions, interdisciplinary teams, transdisciplinary teams, to think about the values that we can put at the forefront that will help guide our conversations about the future of teaching and learning when it comes to the use, integration, or development of AI tools. The first is for us is that we led with the idea that we would focus on human AI collaboration and not the substitution or supplanting of the humans in this endeavor. Second, that the research that we were promoting or that will be promoted is intentionally integrating rigorous research methods, testing the AI as we heard this morning, not assuming that it knows what to do, but instead that we will govern and guide. Next would be integration of transdisciplinary team collaboration. I think most of our panels today have demonstrated why having transdisciplinary teams and those with different perspectives and backgrounds, expertise will actually benefit the endeavor and not limit it. Importantly, having critical evaluations of AI design, development, and use. Again, not picking off the shelf and running with something just because it's available, but instead better understanding how it's applicable to where we want to go with regard to teaching and learning. Promoting AI literacy across disciplines in research, teaching, and learning, and recognizing that it's important for us to meet people where they are in their understanding and use and experimentation. That sounds bad, doesn't it? With AI. Sorry, take that as it was intended in a very positive way. Next is the translation of research on AI to benefit teaching and learning. So how are we keeping that at the forefront? That there is research not only here at the University of Utah through the support of multiple offices, but also around the country and world that we can learn from and think about its application in our institution to help us achieve our goals. And then finally, that we are going to be able to support faculty to secure funding partnerships, as we heard about earlier today, and commercialization opportunities for both excellence and innovation that helps us, again, promote the vision of the university. So where do we land? Here we have both our vision and mission. The vision is laudable and something that we see that we can attain if we are working on a daily basis on our mission. That is, our vision is a world in which the responsible and ethical design, development, and use of AI creates a system of higher education that fosters universal access and inclusion, empowers faculty and students, and finally benefits society. And that our mission will be to advance research on teaching approaches and learning experiences that develop and deploy responsible AI to enrich the knowledge, skills, and adaptability of faculty and students across the many disciplines in higher education. What was core to our conversations is that focusing on teaching and learning is not just about the student experience, though that was prominent in our conversations, but also the faculty experience, and that we are co-developing together. We have 4 use cases, and I won't go through these in detail, that we thought could be early starting points for us as an institution to think about responsible AI and the future of teaching and learning. The first is research on the use of AI to improve the quality, effectiveness, and value of teaching and learning in higher education across disciplines, including not only to do things better, but to do better things in teaching and learning. And this offers a unique opportunity for the University of Utah and the faculty and the folks affiliated with our institution. As you can see from the list below, we're already promoting these endeavors, and we'll talk in a moment about the work for the Center for Teaching Excellence, for example, continuing education, computer science, School of Business, and many other disciplines, as we've heard today, that are focused on thinking about what AI can do for the experience, the learning experience, not only while at the institution, but far beyond. Oops, pressing the wrong button. The second use case is on whether or not there's research that we can do about the role of virtual teaching assistants and what will that mean for not only student experiences, but also in addressing the ongoing issue around faculty workload. Third would be to analyze student and course data to research and develop capabilities to understand students' academic progression through the institution. While we are keeping at the forefront what it means for workforce development, we also recognize that the use and development of AI in teaching and learning may offer students other opportunities, including innovation. And then finally, and this one is the foundation of all that we are doing, to research the ethics of AI use in the curriculum design delivery, including being attentive to not only data privacy and what the use of AI will mean, but also bias detection and mitigation, as we heard earlier today. So with that, I will turn it to Rohit.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rohit Aggarwal. I have been teaching in the morning, and my throat is still a little dry from there. My research is uh, in productivity and looking at how we can use generative AI to improve developer productivity, not specifically just developers, but also in retraining and reskilling professionals in use of AI. So a lot of the focus of the work is on understanding and accounting for the heterogeneity in the tasks that people do for solving with AI. There are many studies that or anecdotal evidences which have come up that how AI can help uh, with our productivity. But then, of course, there are some counter evidences where people have documented that how some of the things are not helpful from AI or how generative AI projects are failing. Of course, there are always multiple school of thoughts. What we believe is that what is missing is that people are not controlling for the task complexity when working with generative AI, which can account for many of these differences in the results that people observe. So, and one of the underlying phenomena we want to study is that how does, of course, there's this consensus that AI can help with improving productivity in short term, but people are not aware of how it has long-term consequences and how it affects the learning or the skill development over a period of time. So we have been working with my co-authors on multiple topics on this topic, that how AI particularly can accelerate or impede learning. So we have been fortunate to uh, collaborate with a boot camp where they are interested in testing how they can integrate AI into their curriculum, and they were more proactive in helping us in setting up the design of experiments and controlling who gets the access of AI and who doesn't. So what we worked with them is setting up a design where we have a control group that doesn't have the access to AI, and then we have other groups where one group has the access to AI throughout the study, and then the third group, which has access to AI in a limited fashion, in the way that we created similar tasks for the assigned task and then provide them solution for that similar task. So what we are interested in is observing that how it impacts the productivity of new learners when they do not have access to AI, which is our control group, and in compared to them, how people who have access to AI, full access to AI, they can perform over simple and complex tasks, and how people who have access to similar solutions but not the full access, how they perform on simple and complex tasks across the AI intervention period. So further, we also wanted to see the impact of long-term learning. So for the control group, we, first of all, before the AI intervention, we evaluated their accuracy and their performance on tasks, simple and complex, without any AI access. Then for 8 weeks, we provided them alternate tasks of simple and complex and observed their performance and their productivity with depending on the group they are in, that how they are performing on the task. And then after post intervention, we again assign them simple and complex tasks to see that how the skill development has happened after the 8 week period. And the results were pretty interesting. I mean, of course, just immediately after the first week when the intervention started, so these results are in comparison to the control group. What we see is that for easy tasks, uh, early learners, they immediately improve their productivity. It is like they got a steroid shot. I mean, all of a sudden, their time to complete the task went down, the accuracy went up, which is kind of expected. And but when they were to pursue the complex task, that didn't happen. That didn't replicate. Where the accuracy improved, you can see that the initial time, initial accuracy is better now. This is just in the first week itself. So initially, what I mean from initially is that when the AI intervention happened, in the first week, what was their performance? And eventually is in the last week, when in the 8th week, what were their performance? So what we saw was over the simple tasks, they were able to maintain the edge over the control group for the time taken and for the accuracy. When time taken was, of course, they were very fast, but over the time, the accuracy edge went away because the control group, which didn't have the access to AI, their skill development started to kick in. And over 8 week period, there wasn't any discernible difference between the performance of people who have full AI access and who didn't have AI access. But what is interesting is in the complex tasks. In the complex tasks, the accuracy of people with AI access improved a bit. But eventually in the 8th week period, that went down because the control group kept on slow and steadily improving their skills and building these mental models to solve tasks. But that didn't happen with the group with full AI access because they become more and more reliant on AI and become more like we like to, between our co-authors, AI zombies, where they are just doing prompt engineering and they, even if their brain tells them to, they can fix something, but they got into that mode where they are trying to come up with that idle prompt, which will get them the complete solution without having to touch the code. And, and that is concerning because once we remove that AI access or post intervention, the results were stark. I mean, people who had full access, they perform really poorly in comparison to the control group, both on the simple and complex tasks. So, uh, so the takeaway from here is that if uh, people, early learners particularly, if they are provided full access, it is going to impede their learning significantly for skill development over the period of time. And they may only be able to do simple tasks. Of course, with the grain of salt, because our study period is 8 weeks, it's not that huge. So maybe they'll catch on eventually. But that is one concern we saw in the results. And other one for the AI similar solution, this was interesting. I mean, of course, they saw some improvement because now they do not have exact solution. They have a solution to the similar problem. So they, in order to apply that solution, they still have to think, they still have to learn. What I haven't shared here is the code quality as well. We also observe the code quality. In case of AI similar solution, because now AI is really good in delivering high quality, well formatted code, they, they also picked on the how to structure the code, how to modularize the code, and the code quality was also better. So it seemed like AI similar solution. That group succeeded pretty well, and they, of course, the improvement was there during the period of the intervention, and also that sustained after the intervention, though they took little longer than the control group to complete the task, but the accuracy was at par with the control group. So this was largely for the inexperienced group. But then now, because of the in technology world, and even with the generative AI, people have to reskill themselves. So that was the motivation to study that how these effects will translate to inexperience versus experience. So then we did another study over here with the bootcamp where they also had people who were trained in .NET or PHP, and now they wanted to learn MERN stack and be more up to date with the technology. And that gave us a great opportunity to observe that how people who have been uh, professional developers have good amount of experience, how AI access impacts their immediate performance and long-term growth. And the results were pretty stark in compared to inexperience. So in this experiment, we had limited scope. So in order to maintain the power of test, we couldn't do the AI similar solution group, but we did was between full AI access, and still the results were pretty interesting. Uh, and what I haven't shared is that how the usage of experienced professionals versus these inexperienced, the usage patterns were very different. So what these experienced professionals did, because they have the mental model that how to plan for certain requirements, they didn't have to rely on AI to get everything done. So what they did use AI for was to use it as an assistant for syntax completion, or for if they knew how to do it in .NET, then they will provide it .NET code and ask it to convert it into, say, JS code. Or so in that way, they were in the control, and they also knew how to debug. So they were not doing everything or trying to debug using AI models. So the usage was very different of experienced people versus inexperienced. And that we believe has impact or show the results, the difference in results, where experienced people, of course, show the improvement and the performance during the intervention period, but also post-intervention, they were able to do it really well. And another research relevant to teaching and learning is about how AI is increasing the digital divide. I work with a lot of developers from India and other places, and one of the challenges I see is that they struggle in communicating requirements to AI model precisely. And so, and what we did is come up with a framework that they can use to uh, communicate the requirements to the model. So it is mostly like a JSON key. And so for some non-technical people, it is a data structure that developers are used to interacting with. And what it does is it helps them to separate, to make separation of concern, where they can specify the instruction at the top and defining the construct, and then define the constructs or the variables later. And what it helps them with is they do not have to work around complex sentences. They do not have to work around subordinate clauses. They do not have to work with that what modifies what, which confuses the model. And it makes their job much easier because now they are kind of working with the JSON structure they are more comfortable with. And the results were very interesting. First of all, the digital divide was pretty stark. If you ask developers to ask, and we work with the recruitment agency for this, that if you ask developers to write prompt to get the code, then many of them will just start and then they will just quit because it's so much difficult for them to express things in plain English. But when they have to do it with metadata prompting, the abandonment rates went down and the accuracy of the code generated went up, and the time they took was also much better. And this is, I haven't worked this with the grading part, but This is one of the models we are working with the recruitment agency where we are trying to make the model explainable because they receive a lot of resumes, say 50,000 resumes for one application. And now, how do you give fair shot to everyone? Earlier, they were using keyword matching to filter out resumes, but now they cannot do that because candidates have also wisen up and they are using AI tools to uh, keyword stuffing all of the use the right words. So what we are developing is a system for them to make the decisions by AI models explainable. And what we have used is a variation of hierarchical attention for transformer models, which has in the Siamese structure, which has helped us to make the decisions of AI explainable and which then they can take to their clients and explain why they have curated or recommending some candidates. So that has helped very much in the recruitment space. And I believe this could work very well with the grading of assignments as well. And some of the other projects I'm involved in is we are working on AI agents. One of the projects we are working with is that how we can, if you provide a book chapter, and if a student fancies to be taught by Eminem, then that book chapter can be converted into a video lecture with slides where Eminem is rapping and teaching that. So yeah, so it's a fun project and that we are working on. That how and other projects I'm working on is that how we can train students for planning for AI integration, generative AI integration into existing systems, and how we can help with improving their critical thinking skills to help AI agents, which many times, even though O1, they claim that you do not have to uh, help it with the reasoning, but it is not the case. I'm glad about that, where we can still, as humans, help these AI agents to reason better, to help them where they get stuck or for tool calling. And so, yeah, so a lot of fun projects around that. So, yeah.
It's your start. Where is that it?
Hi, everybody. My name is Ann Cook, and I am not an AI researcher, nor do I play one on TV or pretend to be in any facet. In my role here today, I'm the director of the Center for Teaching Excellence. If you don't know what that is, the Center for Teaching Excellence is the resource on campus that provides faculty development around pedagogy. I started this job in August of 2022. Really excited about increasing the degree to which the center was proactive in helping faculty on campus. So you can imagine some of the thoughts that might have run through my head when in November of 22, ChatGPT dropped. And I realized that I was responsible for training how many thousand faculty on how to use this. When faculty, as Rohit so astutely said, when faculty are mostly concerned about our students becoming AI zombies. And so we've come at this from a variety of different approaches. And so what I want to do today is just tell you what we're doing at the University of Utah in the center to try to help faculty learn about AI and use AI in their coursework. One of the main things that we've been doing is communication and outreach. I email you guys every Thursday afternoon, around 4:30, you get an email from the Center for Teaching Excellence. And I know like it is the highlight of your day, and you drop everything to read that newsletter. In that newsletter, we provide information to you from all over campus. It's not just stuff we're doing, but it's stuff we sort of bring from all over campus in terms of updates, events, important information that you need to know. We often receive information from UIT or from Digital Learning Technologies. So like when UIT first rolled out sort of Microsoft Copilot, they asked us to send information out in addition to their newsletter. We provide you with information about important events or workshops or symposia that are coming up. As well as opportunities, and I'll describe some of those that we've offered over the last year. One of the things that we talk a lot about in our newsletter and on our website, and if you come to the first floor of Marriott Library to visit us, is instructor support and training. And by instructors, I mean really broadly. I mean career line, adjuncts, grad students, TAs, tenure line faculty, anyone who interacts with students. And so we do this in a variety of ways because we recognize that not one training is going to fit everyone's needs. We've created a Canvas course that's a self-directed course called AI 101. And it's basically a self-directed course to give faculty some basic literacy in AI and teach them ways that they can integrate AI into their course instruction. AI 101 is available through our website. If you go to our website and you see our generative AI page right in the banner right at the top, you can click on that and you'll be led to a page full of resources, and one of those resources is our course Canvas page. We also offer a variety of different workshops. Some of these workshops, like the one on using AI to prepare your lessons on September 11th, are university-wide. We hold these via Zoom to access the most people, and they are recorded, and those recordings are placed on our website. We also do a number of workshops for departments and even sort of smaller groups within departments whose faculty who realize their faculty or their TAs or their instructors or whoever might need some extra support in AI and how to integrate AI into their instruction and maybe not be afraid of integrating AI into their instruction. So we're out across the university quite a bit. We're lucky enough to have, I don't think she's here today, but Jess DeMolder on our staff, and she has become sort of our AI specialist and has been doing a lot of consultations and workshops across campus. In addition to the workshops that we do, like I said, we do consultations. And so if you as a faculty member are struggling with a particular assignment and you think your students are using AI, you don't want them to, or you want them to use AI and they're not, or they're not using it appropriately or whatever, you can just schedule a consultation with us and we'll sit down with you and we'll help you figure it out, because there's not one size fits all solution for AI integration into instruction. And so we'll help you work out what the solution is that's appropriate for you and your course needs. We also, this summer, we're excited to offer a Faculty Intensive Teaching Institute. CTE used to offer what they called boot camps that were for a very small group of faculty, and they were usually oriented around flipping your courses or moving to use of educational technology and online instruction. During the pandemic, those halted, and so we brought it back in the form of an intensive institute where the first couple of days were back to basics. So anybody who wanted to come and just get some basics in like syllabus design or course design or assessment design, classroom management, whatever, could come in. But the second 2 days were related to AI and the science of learning. We combined these things because AI by itself is not going to make your instruction dramatically better. You have to understand how people learn and how to facilitate that learning. So you have to understand the science of learning to understand how and why and when to integrate AI into your courses. So we spent a couple of days doing that. We were fortunate enough to have Jose Bowen as our keynote speaker for that event. And he gave, for those of you, anybody there at that event? Few people. So he gave a very interesting keynote presentation for that event. One of the things that we're also doing sort of behind the scenes in terms of instructor support and training is a group of us from around the room are attending a year-long AAC&U Institute, virtual institute on AI pedagogy in the curriculum. And so we attend workshops on a regular basis throughout the year, but we also have a project that we have to sort of figure out how to implement. Because the goal of instructors at a university is student success, CTE and academic innovation and undergraduate studies at the U really takes the stance that we can support student success through faculty success. We know that not all faculty are really comfortable or on board with AI. That most of you in the room are, but I would bet that you've got colleagues who haven't even opened ChatGPT, or if they have, they fooled around with it and quickly closed it and never want to use it in their courses, and they want us to detect it and ban it. So that's not going to work. So we've developed a conceptual framework for supporting AI in pedagogy. We're at the very lowest level. We're supporting AI literacy. We want faculty to understand what AI is. We want them to put them all, we want to put them all through AI 101 in one way or another. We want them to understand what AI is, what it's useful for, what its boundaries are, what its sort of potential red flags are. And then once faculty are comfortable with understanding what AI is and how it can be used, then they might start exploring. Then they might start integrating AI into their courses. Then they might be doing some really innovative things. They might be doing scholarship of teaching and learning with AI. And then finally, they might become leaders in AI in pedagogy. And so our goal is to develop a conceptual framework where we're really supporting faculty who are all stages of AI use in pedagogy. One of the ways that we're promoting innovation in AI use in pedagogy is through the Martha Bradley Evans Teaching Fellows. Each year, our teaching fellows tackle a critical concept or critical issue in teaching in higher education. Last year, it was experiential learning in general education. This year, it's integrating AI into teaching and learning in innovative ways. For the 24-25 year, we have 4 fellows that are being funded, and they're doing projects related to instruction and using AI in instruction in really interesting ways. And we chose those projects that we felt were likely to have the biggest impact in terms of pedagogy and in terms of breadth across the university. These projects are focusing on using AI to support student research in the library, the use of AI in archival research and collections, helping students understand how bias can creep into AI and what to do about it, when to recognize it, how to mitigate against that bias, and finally, harnessing AI to support linguistically diverse classrooms. So our fellows are working on these projects now, and we check in with them on a regular basis. What we're hoping is that these will lead to scholarly publications or presentations, but that they're also going to directly impact instruction at the U, not only for their classes, but for other classes and other students at the U, and that it'll start to infiltrate across the U. One of the most exciting things that we're doing is we're using AI to help us understand patterns in student course feedback. So a couple of years ago, a university-wide committee developed a teaching excellence framework, which is a conceptual framework for defining what it means to be excellent in teaching at the university. I'm not going to go into our conceptual framework. It's on our website. It's listed here. We have some fundamental components that our interdisciplinary committee agreed these are really important to teaching and to teaching well. So we've developed a tool, or I should say are developing a tool that called TEF Talk. That's an AI-based platform that allows for the analysis of both qualitative and quantitative data from student course feedback over time, over courses, instructors, colleges, any which way you want to slice and dice it. So for a long time with student course feedback, we look at the numbers. We looked at, when it was a 6-point scale, we looked at the average, and we looked at it compared to the department and the college averages. Or when it was yes, no, neutral, we looked at the percentages of people who responded yes. But the real meat and the really rich data is in the comments. Once you get past a couple of instructors or past a couple of courses or sections of courses, those comments become so much that it's hard to look at it all and it's hard to understand it all. But we also know that that's where the really rich information lies. So TEF Talk can provide us with insights into those comments in terms of what's going well, what's not going well, resources that may help, and it's interactive. I just have one screen to give you a sense of what it can do. So we're currently working at the university on reducing courses or addressing courses with high course failure rates. These are often low-level introductory courses with large numbers of students. And so when we're looking at those courses, we can plug them into TEF Talk and we can say, okay, looking just at the qualitative data, what's going well and what needs improvement. And we'll get some themes on what's going well here. Now, this isn't the limit of it. This is just sort of what you get at the very beginning. We can click on any one of these resources. It'll give us quotes from the data to understand, well, what's supporting this theme. We can also go into these and provide resources, so teaching and learning resources that can help support these ideas. And more importantly, you see that button at the very top that says ask questions. You can chat with it and you can interact with it. So if one of the areas for improvement is about course materials and assignments need better alignment with the exam content, you can say, tell me more, and it'll tell you more. Or you can say, let me understand, how does this work in online classes versus in-person classes? And so you can start to interact with the data, drill down into the data, and get unique insights that looking at several sections worth of data would be really difficult. We are currently piloting this with a couple of colleges. What we want this to be is a tool that will assist in faculty development. What we don't want it to be is a tool that will be used in faculty evaluation. And so we're being very careful in our pilots to make sure that this is being used for good and not evil purposes, but that it's really being used to help figure out where do we need to provide some extra support? Where do we need to focus our development? That is pretty much a summary of everything that we're doing with CTE. If you have any questions, you're welcome to contact us at cte.utah.edu, and we'd be happy to help you out. All right, thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and welcome our 3 speakers back onto the stage. And we'll open it to the floor for questions.
Hi, Dave Wu, Department of Educational Leadership and Policy. And I have a question for you regarding integrating AI as you think forward. how much are the vendors we use for kind of like our platforms and things like that? How responsive have they been? Are there conversations happening about integrating AI in those tools that we use so that it makes it more user friendly for faculty to integrate?
So we don't control all the tools. But so we work closely with digital learning technologies to try and make sure that the tools that we are recommending to faculty are safe and that they provide some security in terms of your data. When we go out and give a workshop or when we do a consultation, that's one of the things that we really think about. But again, we have to go into like, what is it that you want to do? What are your course objectives? And how does AI feed into those? And how much do you want students to use AI? Are they just exploring? Are they well trained in AI? Are they AI zombies? Are they inexperienced? Are they experienced? And so those are a lot of the questions that we consider. And so those are some of the guardrails that we might put up for you in helping you think about how to use AI. Does that answer your question?
I have a question for Dr. Aggarwal. And sorry, I'm the embodied figure here. So you spoke about the similar AI that was abundantly more helpful for learners. And I saw a lot more green around the similar AI. What can you tell us more about that and what kind of tools you're talking about, what kind of applications or how they were used differently?
Yeah, so hello. So for similar solutions, what we did was that, let's say the task was for building an algorithm for certain data structure, or maybe building a pagination for certain application. And then the similar task was created using generative AI that was similar to this pagination task, but was not exactly the same. And then they were provided the similar requirement and the solution. So that way they have some reference, but they didn't have the exact solution.
Thank you. Rohit, I had two questions, and he asked the first one, so I get to ask the second one now. I find your research fascinating, and I think that we need so much more of this, and we need it across multiple disciplines. I understand yours is applied to your area of expertise. What does the landscape look like for this type of research? How unique is what you're doing, and how can we leverage your approaches, your methodology, your framework more broadly across the university? And I guess the fundamental question is this an opportunity for the university to really show some leadership in exploring how AI could be integrated effectively into teaching?
Definitely. What I feel is, in fact, I've been thinking a lot about, because I get asked this question a lot from students, that you keep us showing all these tools and which make us afraid more and more for our future. And so, and and sometimes I feel like we techies are like the people sitting on a branch and cutting the same branch we are sitting on. Uh, but I feel at the same time, one of the things or the advancements and where these models are lacking, even when CS people deploy these agentic approaches where models can do reasoning on their own and go out and try to do sophisticated stuff, they still lack in a lot of applications, maybe. And that's where the critical thinking becomes so critical in every aspect of augmenting business processes or any process for with AI process. And I think where we can teach students is that how we can help them in chunking. So I was looking at the literature in Andrea is an expert on that, that how these chess masters, they are able to remember just by quick glance the entire chess piece because they have those hierarchical models of mental models of how to assess the positions of the chess and what has been the strategy of that. So we can help students advance their critical thinking skills because earlier what was needed was that how you would implement something once it has been decided what needs to be implemented. But now with these tools, with this Open Devin or Devin and Cursor and other tools that are coming up, once it is established that what you need to do, doing that is not difficult. That's like calculator. So we need to change that mentality and help students to progress in the hierarchy of thinking with the critical thinking skills, that how they can figure out what to build, what to prioritize, where these models are getting stuck. Particularly, these models have their own uh, abilities and limitations, where they are getting and doing deductive reasoning. That's another challenge, because a lot of our learning is based on deductive reasoning, but these models are developing so fast and they may not have the history to learn from inductive reasoning. So how we can teach those deductive reasoning skills, that chunking and hierarchical organization, to help students augment the current processes better. And of course, in education, it's fascinating. I started looking at the literature that there's like so much of disconsensus on what is critical thinking, how do you measure it, how you train it, is it a general principle or is it a domain specific principle, or there may be some, I guess, overlap at that. So yeah, the whole area is very fascinating and open for scholastic interdisciplinary research, and even for applications. For one of the application I'm building is that how we can teach students to plan for such AI agents and assist them, because one of the challenges in building these agents is earlier methodologies were more about capturing the current processes. But now with these new systems, new processes have to be built, new processes have to be thought about. And so the old way of system analysis or design, UML diagrams or ERD diagrams or other approaches won't work. So how we can implement data-centric approaches, and so that way can teach them, discover new processes, augmenting that will work with these AI tools. I think that could be another way to explore.
We're actually out of time. I'm so sorry. We have we're going to do a quick 8-minute break and then we'll reconvene at 3:45, and that will be our last session, looking at our final panel on realizing the promise of AI. So let's go ahead and thank our speakers one last time.